We're going to make sure everybody can get tuned in on the show. So feel free to share it on Facebook, Instagram, whoever you want to share it with. Because one of the other things I like to do is interact with everybody who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
You can see who's watching because I can't see that.
I can't see who's watching, but I can see who's commenting. I have access to the chats from both Facebook and YouTube.
Sweet.
Okay.
I just got the pop-up now on my screen, so we're good to go.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to share it real quick. Give me a second. Go on my page.
You guys look good right now. Both of you.
Very good. You look fabulous, brother. You look fabulous.
I like it.
Long
I
day.
love it.
Walked in before, so if I still have it together, thank God.
All right, we got somebody showing up right now. And Chris, for your benefit, if you actually look at it on, if you have another screen, you can look at it on Facebook. There are, it's a little bit of a lag, but there are captions below.
Really? I wonder if I should do
I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, no, I thought that caption is that actually. Oh, wow, really? So can I leave this page and watch the captions on that?
Yeah. So you can rewatch it and listen, see all the captions.
I'm afraid to leave the page. I'm going to lose my connection. I'll stick with this.
Yeah, don't leave the page right now. No, definitely not.
That's good. I want the risk. Give it to me.
All right. So we got a couple people watching, tuning in. Thank you guys so much for joining the Collaborate and Pull Together podcast. This is going to be our third show. Last week, I had the pleasure and honor of having Craig Soublier on with Aiden LeMay, both arm wrestlers in the community that have a very strong message to share. I was happy to take part in sharing their story, their journey, and their experience in the sport of arm wrestling and in recovery as well. But today I have two special guests joining me, two people that are near and dear to my heart, not just in the arm wrestling community, but also in my personal life. Below me, I have Rosie, who has been an amazing consultant and friend in wellness, and somebody who I've confided in with and has helped guide me in my own wellness journey, and which has segued into my recovery. And then to my side of me, actually the other side of me, is Chris Lacco. Many of you know him as an amazing arm wrestler. This man has quite the story, experience, strength, and hope to share with the world. And it's an honor to share this screen time with these lovely individuals. Without further ado, please, Chris, introduce yourself. Tell us what you're about a little bit, and we'll go into Rosie afterwards.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Danny. You're one of my idols in arm wrestling. I'm very proud to be here. And to be sharing the screen with both of you tonight is really awesome because everything I have, I can only keep it by giving it away to you guys. And just keep sharing whatever we got. You know, that way we can, it's so cool because we get to hang out here tonight and talk, but we can turn the light off and put our head on a pillow and just not have to worry about that shit after we go finish this up. I think our journey started, I started arm wrestling when I got into recovery. Because after 18 years of drugs and alcohol all day, every day, I broke my left leg 4 times in blackouts. My knees fake, my ankles fused, so I couldn't skateboard anymore. I had to find something new. And I always loved arm wrestling. I used to watch it on TNN channel back in the 90s after the fishing shows on Sunday. They used to play it. I would even when I was using, I'd watch it on TV and be like, I'm going to do that one day. And then, you know, and then life passes by you when you're on the streets. So I started arm wrestling in July 29th of 2019. I reached out to Ron Ermini from the Connecticut Armbenders. And it just took off. I thought I was going to meet with a bunch of meatheads that were just going to bust my chops, but it was nothing like that. Like everybody just kind of took you in your arms. And that's the arm wrestling community in general. And it just took off from there. It's a release. We all need a release in life, but we'll go freaking crazy. We live in the tri-state area. You know, this is not normal. We need to listen with Gasco. So that led us here today.
Well, we're happy to have you join us. Thank you so much. And Rosie, tell us a little bit about yourself and you know what brings you on to today. And then we're gonna jump into upcoming events.
I'm happy to be here, guys, and thank you so much, Dan, for inviting me and for including me on this show, because it's so funny. Last week, I believe it was on the first of, or last Tuesday, last Monday, the 1st of May, I just launched my online business, MRJ Wellness, and I go by Ms. RJ. And my book, which we'll be talking about later on, about floating and how to incorporate floating with coaching. I'm a certified holistic health counselor, formerly a happiness consultant at the Float Place. I'm looking to expand to other float centers and help people really use float therapy to catapult their recovery, their ability to create and manifest. I mean, there's so much that you could do with floating that has not been tapped into. Some people are just kind of doing it and they're trying it, but what I did is such a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and you know what? We can't arm wrestle without recovery.
this is so true.
It's
This is so true.
impossible.
We're gonna get into a lot more of that meat and potatoes in a few moments. But I wanted to take a moment to highlight a couple of upcoming events in the next 2 weeks. I gotta say, this community has brought us far and wide together in a very tight-knit community. And one of the members of the community is going to be the High Five Club that I wanted to highlight. I'm actually wearing their shirt, Knuckles Up. They have an event this upcoming weekend on Saturday in New Jersey, the Barrymore Film Center. I have the QR code on the top of my screen right there. If you go ahead and take a snapshot of that, it'll take you to all their links. They have a big event coming up. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be some guys that I know personally, like Roger Learned, Danielle Evanson. These guys and gals are going to be rocking it with the High Five Club. Really look forward to their event. They run the best high caliber super match of arm wrestling in the United States to date, in my opinion. I'm a little partial because they've always been supportive of me, and I'm happy to support them. So please feel free to check them out. They're coming up this Saturday, and then the following week, and we'll talk a little bit more about this because this is partially where I met yours truly, Chris Laco, at one of the Jason Vale strap-only tournaments, the Memorial Tournament. I think the first one was one of the first times I actually got to really interact with Chris by Empire Arms, one of their first tournaments. It was Empire Arms. It's going to happen next weekend, May 18th, at the UFC gym in New Hyde Park. You can check that link again right there. I have the QR code up top with all the information regarding it. Please show up. Jason Vale is a legend in our sport. This tournament is to tip our hats off to somebody who has been an amazing, impactful member of arm wrestling and put New York arm wrestling on the map. A lot of my thank you, Drew. Drew put the link in the YouTube chat as well. And if you can find the link for the Jason Vale tournament and put that up there as well for me.
So you know what?
Yeah, I'm not going to pin that comment because I got a couple other things to cover. But so Jason Vale was, as I said, the epicenter of New York arm wrestling. A lot of energy in New York State, in the state of New York, when it comes to arm wrestling, is central to this man's endeavors. And I appreciate Mike Bisman and Steve Black for running an amazing event to commemorate this individual in that sport. So those are the two big upcoming events in the next 2 weeks. We're going to talk about other future events down the road. But is there any events, Chris, that you want to highlight that are coming up?
Well, first, I'd love to talk about Knuckles Up because they have one guy who keeps coming on there, a good dude named Kamil Jablonski.
Oh, yeah.
And in October of 22, I flew over to the IFA Worlds in Normandy, France, and Camille was there. Now, first of all, nobody told me that when you fly for more than 7 hours, you get bloat. So I showed up. I swear to God, I ate 4 unsalted cashews on the flight over there, and I came up 4 pounds heavy. So I was forced to pull a heavyweight, but Camille was there, and I knew the storm was coming over here, dude. He was flash pressing everyone that got in his way, and I was like, I'm so happy to see him coming over here and Knuckles Up because I saw that press, and I trained with Nick Stone, and Nick is 6'1", 330. He's a nightmare, right? But Camille is gigantic when you stand next to him in person. So I'm excited to see him coming up again on the next Knuckles Up event. And it's so hard for me to not go to the Jason Vale because everybody knows I love the strap. My wrist never recovered ever very well over the years. I love the strap. It's just power to power. There's no trickery. There's a little bit of trickery, but it's mostly just power. So I'm still healing from a recent surgery. You know what I mean? I'm a horrible arm wrestler. If you want to watch technique and terrific fundamentals, don't ever watch my matches. My matches are just raw, ugly, and just sheer power and aggression. And it's a good release. Yeah, so but coming up June 1st is the Connecticut State Championship. It's also the Danny DeMichael fundraiser event, and it's freaking awesome. They got the coolest venue in Colebrook, Connecticut. It's a winery, and they have such an awesome setup. I know Mike Aiello is supposed to come by and just hang out for a bit. I shouldn't. My doctor said, don't you dare pull on June 1st. And I just had surgery 2 weeks ago. But you know, that's just a recommendation. A doctor is just giving me his suggestion. So hopefully I don't actually pull. But we'll see what happens next. I still have to recover. And I'm doing are you guys familiar, obviously, with the cryo-freeze chambers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, negative 225 degrees for 3 minutes. I stand in this thing, and I feel like I'm 18 when I get out. They really do work. What do you guys do? They work for you guys too?
Oh, they certainly do. And I wanted to touch up on that in a few moments. I just wanted to highlight real quick. I actually put a link for the Connecticut State Arm Wrestling Championships, the Turtleman Classic.
Turtleman.
Yeah, I have the link up there at the top, so feel free to go ahead and click that.
Awesome.
Take a screenshot, so that way you can go ahead and check out the information on that one. Because I knew you were going to mention that.
It's going to be awesome, dude.
So, Rosie, what do you got going on? Anything coming up? Anything that you want to announce?
Well, like I said, I just launched the book. I am going to be doing a Just Floating Through Life 2-day event, really for people to get more familiar that have probably never heard of float therapy, that want to go deeper into knowing about float therapy. It is going to be a virtual event on the 25th and the 26th. It's a Thursday and a Friday. I may have the dates off, but I believe it's the 25th and the 26th, the last week of May.
Okay. Well, I actually put your link to your Facebook, to the Miss RJ Facebook page, right up there. So if you take a screenshot of that and then click the link, and it'll bring you right to our page, you'll get notified on the details of those events. Be sure to follow this individual because she will guide you through all of turbulence of life into still waters.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, speaking of still waters and speaking of float therapy, I actually wanted to keep your link up there because I wanted to touch up on your experience, Rosie, with float, your experience with float therapy and overall importance of wellness in mental health care.
So with float therapy, guys, what I discovered personally and what I've seen happen with everybody's contribution to this book is that it literally.
Rosie, I want to stop you real quick because a lot of our viewers actually have no idea what float therapy is. So can you give us a rundown as to what float therapy in layman's terms for
Yeah,
a simple-minded folk?
absolutely. And it's such a modality. It's an ancient modality. It's a salt bath. But this type of salt bath, it's really. Can you hear me? I lost you
Yeah.
there for a minute. It's concentrated because it has over 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt to about 350 gallons of water in a room that's maybe like 11 inches deep. The water is body temperature. So when you go in there, it's like a nice warm bath. So I'm not talking about, the tub that you're kind of uncomfortable, you have to get a pillow. No, you're literally floating on your back because of the buoyancy from the salt, the amount of salt, Epsom salt that's in the water. Now, what happens when you go in there is that the water and the salt produces a very high level of magnesium, and your body absorbs it and it automatically relaxes you. Magnesium is really, really good for many parts of our nervous system. And so it's literally like a warm bath, and its benefits really, really go towards whatever your body is needing healing, because your body goes into a state of homeostasis. And that is where, because we disconnect from all of our senses, is that your body starts healing whatever it is that needs healing. So you guys are arm wrestlers, so you guys do a lot of working out with your arms. It'll go towards that. The beauty about of float therapy is that, there are many modalities that have one specific outcome. Whether it be a pain medication, whether it be an exercise routine, it's targeted towards that. Float therapy is the opposite. You do one thing, which is lay in salt, and it goes towards your wherever your body needs it. So it's a very, very unique outcome, and you'll read more about it even in the book that was put together literally in 30 days from floating. Okay, because it calms down your nervous system, that calms down your thoughts, lets you think straight. This book was put together in 30 days, and really from me floating every day. And by day 14, it was just like the flood of ideas were coming together. So it's like, and I've been very, very, from trauma, childhood trauma, my mind has been scattered all over. And so for me to put a book together in 30 days, to me, that's miraculous. Okay. To me, that's miraculous. So it's got so many benefits.
And Rosie, it's like, this seems like stuff that
I
doctors
can't
just
hear
give
you,
away
Chris.
pills for.
Can you
Or
guys
like, just
hear me?
take this pill and you're going to feel better. But these are all natural, holistic things that we can do. I prefer that way better. Your
I
idea.
lost you.
Oh no, can you hear us?
What's that?
Rosie, I think Rosie lost us. Rosie, are you connected?
Yeah, I was just saying how to get like a natural herbal remedy from like all this pain we're in is so much better than all the pills that they're giving out. Because there's a pill for everything these days. There's a pill to wake up, a pill to go to bed, a pill for pain. Something like this can cure everything. I like Rosie's way better.
I think Rosie lost connectivity. Rosie, go ahead and back out and back in if you need to.
One more time.
Rosie disconnected.
I cannot hear. I can't hear.
You can't hear? You can't hear? Oh, it's okay, Rosie. Go out and come back in. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, okay.
All right. So she'll talk a little bit more about the float therapy while. Oh, there she is. Let's see if that works.
Okay, now I can hear you guys.
Now you can hear. Beautiful.
Rosie's back.
Difficulties.
Thank
That's quite all right.
happened.
Beauty.
That's quite all right. No worries. Ain't nothing but chicken wing.
So I didn't hear what Chris was saying or asking. I'm sorry. I was like, oh my God, he's speaking and I can't hear him.
What were you saying again, Chris? Go ahead and say it. Repeat what you said before.
Please.
Help me out there.
Repeat what you said before, Chris.
What I was saying before?
Yeah.
Oh, basically, how it's so easy for everybody to just get in line and go to a doctor and get a freaking pill for a remedy. But Rosie's coming up with natural, holistic stuff that you don't need a prescription for. There's no withdrawals from it. If you don't. That's just so much easier to do it that way than to get hooked on the pharmaceutical stuff. You know, because everybody needs a pill to wake up, a pill to go to sleep, a pill to freaking do everything. I prefer Rosie's way, a little bit natural. And there's no side effects to it other than just feeling better and calming down. I'm listening. I may be deaf, but I'm listening. You know? I hear enough.
That.
Rosie sold me on it, man. I'm sold. I like it. Hey, you know what? And I started doing a lot of deep breathing techniques because when I quit drugs and alcohol, everything on July 9th of 18, I quit caffeine too. I quit all my, I don't recommend this to everybody, but I quit all my antidepressants. I stopped everything on that day because I didn't want to be reliant upon anything. Mm-hmm. And now I quit caffeine and my energy quintupled. And I don't need anything when I wake up. I have a glass of water. Everybody's on the fourth coffee and Monster energy drink. I'm running circles around them. They can't hang with me. It's impossible.
Yes.
I can testify to this man's energy levels. You can power a small city. I think my 9-year-old son's energy level rivals his.
I get it. And water is life. Water is life, man. It's 70% of our freaking body.
Yes.
It's amazing because for 18 years I just strung myself out trying to like feel good. Right? I spent $1,000 a week for 18 years, and now I haven't spent a penny in 2,179 days now, I think. Who's counting? And it's all natural. We wake up. We don't need to make a phone call. We don't need anything. But I do my deep breathing techniques. 7-second in, 7-second hold, 7-second out. I do that 3 times every morning. I swear to God, dude, like the day is ours after that. Like we're taking some control back at that point. It works. Try it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Rosie, now we gave a strong introduction to what float therapy is. How does it help with mental health care?
Well, like I said, what I have found for myself, I was diagnosed with clinical depression in 2006 and bipolar disorder. It's something that I have been working on for years. I also am in recovery. In the Al-Anon, in the other side of the 12 steps. But honestly, it's no different. What I've come to understand is not different. It's just a different vice of addiction. Okay, whether it be our own adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I grew up in a very, very traumatic environment, and so what I've discovered for myself and what I've been reading about from many people that have mental health issues is that it calms your nervous system, it calms your thinking, it shuts down that chatter, that constant chatter in the mind. It's almost like, to me, I call it silent therapy and effortless meditation, which in the 12th step, when we get to step 11, what does it say? Through prayer, meditation, making a conscious contact. And so I had been meditating prior to floating. Floating catapulted my meditation to a whole other level. And so for me, I have felt that now there is like a flow of ideas that just come through, sometimes overwhelming, a lot of ideas that I have to even calm that down, because it's just great ideas that are coming together to share with people. Because like you said, Chris, earlier when we started this podcast, that we don't get to keep share it. We really don't. And that's living in the 12, truly living on, 12 step, is that we don't get to keep it unless we share it.
That's as strong of a statement as to what I've experienced myself with float therapy. Oh, she had to log off. I think you have to go back out. But while we're waiting for her to come back, I just wanted to talk about that float therapy experience that I had. it has been transformative in my meditative processes. It has bolstered every aspect of connecting me with my higher power, with reality, the here and now, with just regular daily self inventories and appraisals, and being able to, understand what I never understood.
Mm-hmm.
And it just puts a lot of boxes and ducks in a row that was always, I had no ducks in a row. I had no ducks. I had squirrels instead. Now they have transformed back into ducks, and I can actually think a little bit more, streamlined, and have goals that I've never thought or dreamed possible, up to and including this podcast. I'm grateful for the opportunity of being able to share my own personal journey, my messages, and people who I've met along the way, that have helped bolster every aspect of this entire meditative, recovery-driven, and self-discovery process.
You know what? That's really, that rings a bell with me, because when I think to myself, what is clean? It's like you stop drugs and alcohol. That's amazing. It really is amazing. But why stop there? If we're going to keep pumping 87 octane in a Ferrari, our body's just going to blow up. You start pumping the good fuel in, and we start performing better. So I think living clean is more than just stopping use of drugs and alcohol. But what do we want next? Because I remember when I was using, I used to show people a picture of me, like, look at me when I was 19 with abs. I don't do that no more. I don't want to be 19 no more. I want to see what's coming next year. I focus on what's coming next for us. I'm not a has-been and dangerously reminiscing. That our addiction wants us to do that. The disease wants us to focus on all the crap and stay home. You don't need a meeting. But we get to hang out together and be like, no, let's keep going. Let's keep climbing. There's no reason to stop there. Because if you think about it, hey, I lost my father 9 weeks ago to alcoholism. Great man, an inventor, where I built helicopters. The guy was amazing. But he lost his life to cirrhosis. His father lost his life to cirrhosis, and his father lost his life to cirrhosis. So now it's like, fuck that. I'm cutting the cord. We can do that. We could draw the line in the sand wherever we are and say, I refuse to live like that anymore. And then, changes start to happen, and we start showing up and doing the right thing. And we end up on the best podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for the connections that I've made because of this. Somebody actually said, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. In one of our viewers, the Drew 24 said, to me, prescription drugs should be the last resort. Sadly, it's often the first and only choice that's being offered or recommended. And that is so true. And in today's society, it is becoming so prevalently, so easily peddled that you need to take this medicine to feel this way, when they don't know any other way. They don't know about float therapy. They don't know about other wellness services and other things you can invest yourselves into for betterment of self. And that is what I'm trying to rip that lid off. Like Chris, one of Chris's favorite statements that I love is, the sheets are ripped off. We're here to help you out and guide you. While you may feel as vulnerable and naked as you've ever felt before, you're not alone.
Yeah,
you're not alone in this.
Bring it now.
You can come reach out to each and any one of us. I still got Rosie's link up in the chat, but now we're going to turn our attention a little bit more to Chris. Chris, you've mentioned recovery a few times. You've spoken to us about your past a little bit. You alluded to it a little bit. I want you to pretty much share your experience, your strength, and your hope with recovery, and the importance of your investments to wellness.
It's amazing, man. Thursday and Friday, I did a couple speeches at high schools. I come in and I share my story, and I do some Q&A with them. And after I left the high school Friday, I went and spoke at a homeless shelter in Bridgeport. So in the high school, we get to show them, if you want to jump down the rabbit hole, I'm going to let you know where you're going to go. In the homeless shelter, they're in the rabbit hole. They want to know how to get out. So it's so powerful for us to go and share our testimonies to let them know, one, they're not alone, and two, there is a freaking way out. Because when I was standing on that bridge on July 8th of 18 with a cinder block tied to each ankle, I definitely didn't want to die, but I was done living. I mean, I had nothing left to live for. I owed dealers thousands of dollars. My family disowned me because they loved me so much. They had to let me go. My girlfriend left me, all that stuff. And I was actually pulled off the bridge that night by an off-duty state trooper. But that leads us here today. Like, how are we all still here after everything we've done to our bodies over the years? Like, it's amazing. It's a miracle. It's not a coincidence.
No.
And to share, like you were talking about prescription drugs before, that's really tough for people to put those down because they feel like they're legally obligated. Like, look, my doctor gave me this script. It's okay. And they get hooked on that, and it's harder for them to surrender because they feel like they're getting it properly. So that's why we share our stuff, to say, hey, you're not only are you not alone, I did the same freaking thing. So you can't fool us. We've been there. You know, I'm the best liar manipulator on the planet. I had to do it professionally for 20 years to survive that lifestyle. But now it's nice here, like when we pull the sheets off. Now we're exposed. Now all the stuff we tried going around all those years, we get to go straight freaking through it and come out the other side even stronger. So
there's a strong analogy, you know, between cows and bison. While they are built very similarly, when a storm is coming, whether it's rain or a snowstorm, the herd of cows will run away from the storm, and they'll prolong their suffering in the storm because they're going to be in it for however long that storm is there for. Bison, on the other hand, they charge right through the storm, knowing that it's going to pass me eventually. I got to run right through it. And so it's all about the mindset, man, and how we are having ourselves charging through what our lives are. We've done so because of the unity and the strength in numbers. We followed a herd of brave individuals, brave souls that have taken this journey before us. We saw, hey, wait, this works. Somebody inspired us. Somebody inspired us to take their hand and say, come with me, and you can actually get past this. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to live in suffering. It may not be all peachy keen throughout this process, but I promise you the other side of this, it's going to be better. It can't be as, you know, if you sit down in the middle of the storm, you're going to suffer. But
it's easy to quit.
So
it's easy to quit, you know what I mean? To keep going and to not pick up it's not easy, but it's so freaking worth it. And once the urges start lifting and the obsession starts to lessen, you start to realize why you were drinking and using so much in the first place. What were we running from? What are we hiding from? Stuff like that. You start to peel the onion back like, holy shit, I was a freaking mess. There was so much more because it's an inside job. So now I think arm wrestling to me, it saved me because I needed a release from all the tension going on in me, any rage I had left, because my road rage is lifted. I had bad road rage. I don't know, you guys must have it. You're from New York. You have to have a little bit of road rage. Just a little bit. We handle it better, but we still have it. It's not going away for good.
100%, Chris. I was a huge road rager way back in the day. One of the other things that I want to share about the clinical depression and the bipolar, it's in remission according to my trauma therapist as of January of last year. So and I know that in the 4 years that I was working at the float place, I was consistently floating, and that is key. That is very, very important. Is the consistency. It's just like going to the gym. It's just like when you start an exercise routine, you're not going to see muscles, you know, because you did it one time and I'm fit. It's not that way. And so a lot of people, that's the important part that's in the book, is that everybody that's in the book has a certain number. I started with the highest one, which is about over 400 floats. I personally have over 250 floats in just those 4 years. At the time, I think it was 3 years when I did the book. But it was the consistency. the consistency is just like going to a meeting. The more that we do it, the more that it sticks in our mind. The more that you float, the more that the layers, the calcified layers around our soul get soaked, and it's easier to peel. That's how I
I
see that.
appreciate that sentiment, because Chris, you had mentioned talking about going to cryotherapy, and I've seen you in those pressure cuffs before, looking like Gumby a little bit. But what can you tell us about your wellness, the practices you do, and how does it help with your not just recovery from arm wrestling, but recovery from addiction, recovery from life, recovery from stress, the wellness that you participate in? Tell us, how does that help you?
Well, I tell you what, I start every day off with a cold shower. And it's crazy because I freaking hate it. I hate every second I'm in that cold shower. But it tells us, okay, I can be comfortable being uncomfortable. I've got that out of the way. Now we're taking some control for the day. We've already got that off the checklist. Okay, that's a good start. Before we even get out of the shower, we're already in the lead. And I kind of like that, because after a few minutes, I'll warm it up a little bit. But I want that shock when I walk in there. Because I'm not doing cartwheels to work in a factory with no windows all day. But I don't mind it. I'm grateful for it. Getting to build helicopters is a cool freaking career, man. And now I'm on year 23 doing it.
That's cool.
I love it. And my sponsor works 10 feet away from me.
That's awesome.
And one day at a time, if he makes it 3 more weeks, he's going to have 37 years sober. This dude, he forgot more than we've ever learned in recovery. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys. He's like, I call him the Sam Elliott of Connecticut. He's just so chill. He thinks before he talks, which is absolutely not me. But I get to learn, and the only word I could tell my sponsor my first year of recovery was, okay, Chris, go to that meeting. Okay, go to that dance. Okay, go to that NA camp out. Okay, because my way doesn't work. I need to be surrounded by people who are doing it long term. So now, recovery-wise, I've used CBD cream before, because it doesn't go through your skin. It doesn't go through your bloodstream. I've used CBD, cold showers, cryo-freeze. I try not to take ibuprofen, but if I'm pulling Bo from Poland at the dungeon, I usually take ibuprofen. Bo just throws hits every single time. And I can't. I love that son of a bitch, but everything is a tournament hit. So training it, I think if we recover well, our training gets better, and when our training gets better, we do better in competition.
Without doubt.
Yeah, right now, I'm 9-5 in super matches. I prefer super match. I love tournaments though. I love it because of the ball busting, the camaraderie, and everybody else feels like shit when you're going into the finals. So everybody's on a level playing field. I like that. And for recovery, going to meetings is really cool too, because whatever we got holding in, these thoughts that come into our head, these ideas, they're not facts. They're just thoughts. Our brain creates them. We can get rid of them too. So by going to a meeting or hanging out with you guys, I raise my hand and be like, hey, I feel like shit today. Okay, let's talk. Now I can transfer some of my weight to you guys. You guys can hold some of my weight for me. So I don't got to walk around all fucking day like that. So there's other forms of recovery than just physical too. Like when Rosie is speaking, just holistic stuff. I get massages, deep tissue every other week. And I think if you feel like shit when you get a massage, you're going to feel good when you leave. Mm-hmm. If I get a nice touch on my back, I'm going to feel like garbage when I leave. I want to feel it. The elbows, I want everything. How do you guys feel about that?
I gotta say, I'm a licensed massage therapist for 13 years, and I appreciate your testimonial, because I've always said, with a relaxed body follows a calm mind.
Right.
And I just want to say we had a couple of guys in the chat that I wanted to shout out. The Schmo is in here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Paul Italia is tuning in. What's up, Paul Italia? Speaking of consistency, this man is the one who's driven me to a level of consistency in my training and weight loss journey. So thank you very much for your support. And I have John Hutchinson, one of my most recent rivals that I picked up in Puerto Rico. That I gotta owe him a licking. Yeah, Puerto Rico. So what's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. But back to that mindset that, you know, taking care of your body to relax, it will help you feel good. And if you're feeling good, you're going to invariably train harder. You're going to take on life a little bit more thoroughly with a little bit more of a graceful mindset because you're not feeling in pain.
Exactly.
You're not in pain.
When we work out, we burn endorphins off and our dopamine levels go back up in our head. So we are naturally high when we leave the gym. And if we don't want to go in, that's okay. I want to walk out of the gym after 90 minutes. Because the rest of the other 22 and a half hours a day, we have no power over that. But when we're in the gym, that's our 90 minutes. Come hell or high water, I will stop at nothing to get that workout in. Because otherwise, I'm going to be a grumpy bastard. I don't want to be grumpy no more. You know?
Definitely not, man. Definitely not. So, speaking about recovery and speaking about being able to share our words of recovery, I didn't realize that this was going to end up being publicized in any way or fashion. But Rosie has mentioned and alluded to a book that she has written, and she did so in 30 days. I'm a part of the book. I have a unique pleasure of being a chapter in this amazing Saint of a Human's book that's sharing the story of recovery from, you know, on a physical platform and mental platform that has helped me formulate one of my greatest mindsets and my mantras that I use during my recovery regimen leading up to a tournament. You know, one of the singular mindsets that I have is visualize the win, visualize the pin. And that was formulated because of it was birthed because of my experiences with float therapy and her coachings and her guidance. So please tell us a little bit more about the contents of this book so that people can actually, you know, get a little preview as to what they're going to be reading, because I encourage everyone on my channel to be reading it. I actually will have your QR code up top so people can go ahead and click that link and see where to find it.
Awesome. Guys, I actually are going to be accessible to everyone for free for 30 days to read. If you want to pre-order because you prefer an Audible to be read to, that's in the works. There's a link in the website. You can pre-order the Audible, and you'll get your own copy of the book to keep. Then it's yours, and you also get a 2-day event called Floating Through Life, which is going deeper on floating and how to use it in your life on a consistent basis. And here that we have someone that is like a pro at consistency, I would love to pick his brain also. The book, I have to say, I've done research on all the different books that are out there about float therapy. There's like the Floating Bible, which is the Book of Floating by Michael Hutchinson. I don't know if John Hutchinson is related, but Michael, that book. But it's a very, very, very scientific book. It's about this stick, and I read it because it was part of the training of working at the Flow Place to really, really learn the science behind it. And I have to say that the only thing that I can say I got out of that book was why we sometimes jerk when we're in the water. That's it. But other than that, everything is very scientific, and some people need that. There are very, very books that talk about testimonials about people's experiences. And so I saw and I would hear how people would go into a float, and 99.9% of the times while I was being a consultant at the Float Place, I could see the way they came, they went in and they came out completely different. And it was always feeling good. Always. Never that came out of a float. Oh my God, that was the worst thing that I did ever. The most that I did see was people just couldn't be with themselves more than 30 minutes, which was pretty, telling of, what was going on up here. because that's the only thing that would make you get out of there. It's a nice warm bath. Why could you not be with yourself, right? The book also has a chapter, which I believe is chapter 17, the side effects, and it's a very, very brief chapter, because the side effects are all good. There are no negative side effects about floating. The only thing is that if you have any scrapes or cuts, we do advise that you put on some ointment, because it will sting. You're going to, a very, very high content of salt. It's like putting salt on a wound. It's going to sting. That is the most that can happen. Okay. But other than that, no, it's like you will come out feeling so much better every time. And every float is also different. So it's not like, you're doing something that seems that it's repetitive, it can get boring. Every float is different. There are people there sharing experiences that they get to see themselves in other lifetimes. There are people that have actually heard or seen people that have passed away. I mean, there are totally different experiences for everyone. There isn't a one size fit all experience other than feeling good. That is the one thing about floating, that you will definitely feel good after a float. But the more that you float, your meditations, if you meditate, gets better. If you are someone that is into like wrestling, arm wrestling, or any kind of sport, because I have there's a happiness consultant in the book. I don't want to give it all away, but he does sparring. And since he started floating, his sparring just went to a whole other level, that he's now a coach. He actually coaches other people at the gym that he was working for, that he was going to. He wasn't even working for them. He was working for the float place, and he's now only works 1 day a week at the float place because now he coaches. It really accelerates our abilities, because the other thing is that we get to visualize. We relax our mind, that we're able to visualize. And if the human mind can visualize it, you'll see it out here. And so that's what I mean. The consistency is so, so important. But some people try it, or if not, they don't use it properly. They don't direct them. And so, Dan, I know that you have always been very, very open, and I love that. That's one of the things as a happiness consultant that I love, connecting people to see what is it that's bringing them to float consistently, because sometimes it's just pain. And so as soon as the pain starts subsiding, oh, I don't need floating. But yeah, you do, because you can incorporate it, which is what I do with coaching. You can incorporate floating in the 7 areas of your life. And then the 7 areas of life is health, your emotions, your relationships, your finances, time management, what you're doing for a living. You get to uncover if you're living your purpose, or are you just working to survive? Are you just working at a job you hate, and you're just, putting your life, just wasting your life in some place that you hate? And then the last one, which is contribution and celebration. Okay, which is very important to live a nice, fulfilled life. So each of those areas can be benefit from floating that you don't even think about. You think it's just physical or it's just mental, but all of those parts are important for the 7 areas of life.
Without a doubt. I can speak to my floating experience, because I started floating a little over 2.5 years ago, I would say, about 3 years ago. And since then, my mindsets have evolved and changed in every arena that you had mentioned. It really has. It has benefited greatly for that. But the number one thing is just my mental acuity and focus, especially since getting clean myself. I'm nearly 5 months in, being clean, and I have the mental acuity and focus, of a heat-seeking missile, if you may, and I really do think it's bolstered by my float experience. Like every time I go into float, I come out with an answer to a question that no one had answers to. And it's because I just turned inward a little bit more and was able to resolve something that I already had the answers to. It's just that I was being distracted by life and not allowing myself to kind of just navigate what the answer best for me would be. And I would, have a lot of exterior noise, and I would listen to that instead of listening to, my connection to my higher power, which I've developed over the last nearly 5 months now, on a very high level, which I'm very grateful for, that this float experience really does generate exactly that.
You know what? This is exactly what our disease does not want. It does not want us talking like this and getting
No.
through things and giving each other advice. Our disease is telling us, turn this off, stay on the couch, you're fine. But this is what's so powerful too, in conjunction with the awesome ideas you guys were just talking about. When these thoughts come around, I talk to myself out loud now. Now, my grandmother used to do that, and I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with her? You know what I mean? Now, I'm only 43, and I'm already talking to myself. And sometimes it can, something as simple as like, we're powerless over being stuck in traffic. If I'm stuck in traffic, I'm not going to get mad now. Hey, I don't have to worry about a speeding ticket. It's a plus. I would change the rearview mirror. I suggest trying this too. I'll put the rearview mirror on my face and be like, dude, what are you worried about? After everything we've been through in our life to get here, you're worried about being 5 minutes late for work. Who cares? There's nothing we can do about it. Stop being a nincompoop. And then I just start laughing at myself. And it's okay. The weight's off my shoulder. Sometimes I even put the smooth jazz channel on my radio.
There you
Right?
go.
I'm a freaking metalhead. I love Slayer. But I put on the spa channel, and I look in the rearview mirror. I talk out loud. What are you worried about? Stop being a knucklehead. Little things like that, too, in conjunction. It's amazing that our higher powers out there. I tell you what, man. When I first got to rehab, they started talking about God and higher power, and I said, no. Just tell me how to get off drugs and alcohol and let me get out of here. I thought everybody else knew what the higher power was, and I was over here in the corner like, what the hell is going on here? But what I didn't realize is that there is no wrong higher power. It's whatever we make it up to be. So if Jesus Christ is someone's higher power, that's freaking amazing. Awesome. Like anything to get our foot in the door and let us know, okay, there's something way bigger than us out there. Like you get a seed this big, and it turns into a 60-foot tree.
Yes.
You get a sperm and an egg, invisible to the naked eye, and it turns into Shaquille freaking Neal, 7'1", 400 pounds of muscle. Explain that. Explain that. Wind moves the branches on the trees. We don't see the wind. The moon changes tides in the ocean. We can't do these things. That's a power greater than ourselves.
Yes.
My higher power is energy. The energy I get hanging out with you two right now, like I feel like you two are my higher power. Everybody watching, it's like we're all combining. That's mine, and there's no wrong higher power.
Supercharged.
They got us here, so something's working.
It did.
Well, so I'm going to wrap up today's interviews with one very personal thing that I didn't realize. I'm getting goosebumps right now before even talking about it. One thing I didn't realize the importance of this man that I have sharing the screen with me. The nickname, the Nightmare, that I have and I carry. This man highlighted it, and I thought it was solely because of the arm wrestling that I was performing at. But I wanted to talk about the level of acknowledgement that this man saw within me. He saw that I was living in a nightmare.
Mm.
And yes, while I was a nightmare to my opponents at the table that he witnessed, he goes, dude, you're a freaking nightmare. I don't think he realizes himself how heavy that name was for me.
Mm.
Giving me that name, Chris, you giving me that name, calling me the Nightmare, exposed a little bit, because I was still in active addiction when you gave that to me. And you kind of exposed, you peeled away the wrapper a little bit, just enough for me to sit there and said, now I can rip it clean off. It took me about 2 years of knowing you, or 3 years of knowing you, and I can feel more comfortable with myself than I've ever been. Acknowledging that, I was living a nightmare, and don't get me wrong, I'm still able to channel now all of that at the table. All that pain, all that anger, all that frustration that I lived with, that I was spewing out sideways, left and right to my community, my world, my family, my friends, people who I was, arm wrestling with.
Yep.
Dude, I now can channel it all at the table. And I can leave it there where it belongs. All that aggression you talk about, like when I compete, I am a different being, but it's because I'm unleashing the pressure relief valve to get rid of the nasty poison that's inside me, and I'm just leaving it in a finding a way to constructively use it. I mean, also destructive to my opponent's arm, but constructively use it for my own benefit in regards to my athleticism and my energies at the table. So,
You know what? I just want to butt this. I need to say this now before I forget. Rosie, I want to tell everybody how I came up with the nickname, the Nightmare, for Dan. So
Yes.
as far as I remember, I had 2 super matches in Long Island at the barbecue, and I was able to scrape by each of them. I got both of the wins that day, and I'm walking around 220 pounds. Dan comes up to me, right? Dan, what were you, 158?
I was about around 160, 165.
So, okay, so there you go. So you got like a 70-pound difference, a 60-pound difference. And I'm like, all right, let me just grip up with him and let me hold him in place. You know what I mean? Let me just hold him in place, I said. Nothing prepared me for that iron pole welded to the table when I grabbed his hand. I couldn't believe somebody this size can just hold me and just look at me in the face and be like, all right, whenever you're ready. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You're a freaking nightmare. He's just a complete nightmare to pull, because what you see is not what you get. Not even close to what you get at the table. That's why he's the king of Puerto Rico, and I'm not surprised one bit about it. That did not. I was proud. I'm very proud of Dan. That never surprises me. And you know what? I'm sure Rosie walked into people who just look like normal, everyday people, but they're just savants. They're just amazing, and they don't show it. When you get a little closer to them, you start realizing, wow, I'm sure you've walked into some miracles in your journey over the time too, Rosie. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that I love the most about being a happiness consultant at the Flow Place, is that, like I said, people would come in one way with a whole bunch of questions and nerves and anxieties, like, I'm going to be in the water. I'm like, yes, but you're going to be with yourself. And when they came out, they were like a whole other person. They came out softer, lighter, big smile on their face, relaxed muscles. I mean, it was like seeing a transformation just in 90 minutes, and literally just laying in water, doing nothing, just being with yourself. That is it.
Isn't that powerful? I mean, think about what you just said, Rosie. To be around yourself. That's the last thing I wanted to do for 18 years when I was working on the street, pushing dope around the state. I wanted everybody to fear me. I wore whiteout contacts. I grew my beard out. I didn't want nobody to know I like Disney World and listen to Tears for Fears. I didn't want anybody to know that, because they would have stepped on my toes. Now in recovery, I'm like, yeah, I love Depeche Mode. What are you going to do about it? In a beautiful way. I love Simple Minds. I love cheesy 80s music. Yeah, I need my Slayer too, but that balance in life. I got my Harley. I did my 500-pound deadlift a few months ago, but I also need Disney World. That dichotomy of life. I think it's super important that we could be ourselves. That's what Rosie was just saying too, to just come out as yourself. I love that.
Yes, you feel lighter. It's like you.
I think that needs to be shown more.
Yes. Well, one of the goals of this book, Chris, is that I want to inspire. I've made it a personal mission of mine that I want to inspire at least 3 billion, just 3 billion people to float at least 3 times in 30 days.
Because
you will transform an entire population.
That's crazy.
Yes. By doing so, because my first 3 months, first month of floating rather, was transformative for me. I was sold. I'd said before, I'm a licensed massage therapist of 13 years. I've learned and practiced a lot of different recovery modalities. And I don't want to give away too much of the book, but my experience with float therapy, there's nothing that can compare and contrast to the experience of float therapy by way of physicality and mentality, and now more so than ever, spirituality, healing that I experience.
Yes, it really
Oh,
is. I
hell
mean,
yeah.
that was one. I mean, you'll read in the book my first experience with floating, and it felt a little trippy, but it was just incredible. It brought my meditation to a whole other. That's really why I went. I had no idea it was going to help me in so many other ways, which you'll read about it in the book on how many other ways it helps me. But it was such it was like an out of body experience, which is
Mhm.
ultimately what most meditation masters talk about, that you have an out of body experience. And it's part of, I think not 100% sure, and I have not read the Bible, but that to die every day, okay, that's what meditation is, to
Hell
die
yeah.
on a, and it's like you get to connect with that higher power, you get to recharge that energy.
I think that's so. Think about that. When if you can attain that Zen state, that things start making sense, almost like the Matrix moment. Like he's the one, and all the numbers come up on the screen. Like, oh wow, we're able to dodge bullets. We have that. We start to feel what we were missing all those years. We had it the whole time. It just wasn't being channeled properly. And
Correct.
now it's like we're starting to find things now. I always wondered what was wrong with me growing up. Being deaf, I mean, I just so desperately wanted to be like the other kids in school. I thought I had a disability or whatever. And growing up for me was interesting because God also gifted me with something called gynecomastia. When I was 12, I had moobs or man hooters, whatever you wanted to call them. I've actually had 6 breast reduction surgeries. That's more than Pamela fucking Anderson had. You can't tell today, but growing up, I hated myself. I was deaf, I had that, and I hid from it. I just did drugs and drank because I didn't know how to cope with it. Now I got the surgery done, I got the cochlear implant working. So I think everything that we were running from, we get to a peaceful spot in our life where we learn to cope with it and move forward. Instead of just sweeping under a carpet of just excuses or drugs or booze, I want to find out what's on the other side now. I'm willing to fight. And that's why I got my sober date tattooed on my hand. I got 7/9/18
Oh wow.
Nice.
upside down. Everything I pick up the rest of my life, I gotta see a clean date on there. And I remember an old timer at the meeting when I got the tattoo. He said, "Chris, don't you think maybe you could have drinks yourself?" And I said, "Well, if I tattoo another girl's name on me, she can fall in love with somebody else. Nobody can take our sober date from us. We can give it away, but I will storm the gates of Valhalla for this date right here. July 9th, 2018. That's better than my birthday, any holiday put together. And we're all here to be able to tell our stories, our testimonies, add a couple jokes in there. That's what life's all about. That's how we grow. We share this stuff out. I don't want to go to bed and carry anything with me.
No.
I want to get rid of that shit. And you guys are giving me some awesome ideas tonight too. I want to keep this going. The new high right here.
There you go. Now, also,
Bye.
Chris, you have a relatively new podcast
Yeah.
to support this, and that people can go ahead and check out. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I had the clothing brand Sober High. I had that for 5 years, and it was interesting because I had to learn how to build a website, business checking account, LLC, tax numbers, all that shit. And it was challenging, but I'm glad I got 5 years out of it. Now I wanted to do a podcast called Anonymous Recovery. It's not A-U-N. I'm anonymous. I want the whole fucking world to know I'm in recovery so I can help out the best I can too and give back what was given to me. So Anonymous Recovery is the name. As usual, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Just learning as I go along the way. And now, with my acting, I just sent out for my first audition yesterday. for a movie being filmed in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Yeah, so we're gonna see. They're looking for an imposing figure, bald with tattoos. And I'm like, if they don't take me, I'm calling my fucking lawyer. They have to. But I just set new goals. You know, I do the best I can, and then we just keep setting new stuff along the way. I still love arm wrestling. I'm going to be arm wrestling the rest of my life. I know where my feeling is with it, but I'm never supposed to win. But I think if we're ever backed into a corner, we always have two options. We could believe the naysayers. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe I'm not good enough. Or we can say they're going to remember us. We're going to make them remember this. And that's where my best wins came when I found that number 2. Once we find that number 2, there's no stopping that train. It's impossible.
You know, fear, the word fear stands for 2 things. Forget everything and run.
Yeah.
Or face everything and rise.
I'll take the second option once again. I would take the second one again.
Same here, man. Same
I
here.
get it. I like
Congratulations. I love that. I'm going to subscribe. You're on Spotify on the Unanonymous.
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
I actually have down below, I have the links to all your channels, all your YouTube links, your Facebook, your Instagram. So when you guys log off of this and rewatch it, you'll see it in the description down below. It literally has everything listed that people can contact you, because I want you guys to be accessible to the rest of the world, of my world, as you've been accessible to me. It's been profound experience that I get to share with you guys. I get to be here. I get to experience a world with you guys in it. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you that are watching, that I get to have watching me. I get to have a family. I get to be in recovery. I get to be an arm wrestler. I get to float. Like, this is just amazing to me. And I get to have a platform that people are actually watching us.
Yes. Guys, one last thing. I forgot to mention this to you, Dan. I know you're aware of this, that I have a podcast called The Inspired Prophets. And it's a podcast that for me personally, I record every morning at 5:30 in the morning, and it's really to connect with spirit, to live and wake up inspired and speak about inspiring things. I read some clips from books that are inspiring, talk about what inspires me, something that's going on in the world that's inspiring, just really, really to have that connect first thing in the morning with spirit. Because to me, inspired means living in spirit, living with connected to your soul. So it's called the Inspired Prophets Podcast, and that's on Spotify.
Definitely check that out. Is the link to that on any of your social media channels?
It is. It's actually on my social media, but it's also on my website, which is www.mizrj.com. You can click on it and you can access.
I got that link down below as well. So people can access that that podcast, follow that link. So guys, again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You're welcome to stay and to hear about the second part that I want to just kind of breeze through. I got some updates on my barbecue coming up that I wanted to share with everybody. It's one of the barbecues that I got to meet Chris Laco at the very first time. Inspired to keep going because of people like Chris Laco, and fueled and constantly contributed by people like Rosie that have helped me. So if you guys want to log off, you're more than welcome to, but if you want to stick around, feel free to do so. It's up to you guys.
Okay, well, I'm going to say good night. Thank you so much for having me. I really had a long day, and I don't want to fall asleep because I'm tired, not because you're going to bore me, because this sounds amazing, but I need to get my rest because I do get up at 5:30 for the podcast.
5:30 comes quickly. I understand.
First of all, Rosie, you're awesome. I'm so glad we met tonight. You have such an awesome ebb and flow with you. I love listening to you. Absolute pleasure the whole night.
Thank you.
You are amazing.
I look forward to listening to your podcast. I'm going to be listening to Dan's. I didn't realize that you just started this a few weeks ago, and thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
It's been
Good
a
night.
pleasure and honor having you here.
Awesome, Rosie.
Get a good night's rest, okay?
Yes, thank you. Good night.
Hell yeah. Good night.
So, you're more than welcome to stick around, Chris, because I'll be quick with it. Pretty much, my barbecue that I have is going to happen the same day as the Connecticut State Championships, June 1st. But I'm going to be doing something a little different this year, by way of how I want my raffles done. Because I have a pretty big, the main focal point of these barbecues is to connect the arm wrestling community with outside communities, different members and different things, whether it's through recovery or wellness, diet needs, nutritional needs, you name it. I'm trying to connect everybody and get as many eyes on our sport as possible. So this is the 4th year I'm doing this now.
And now the summer kickoffs you had, the 2 that I went to, was probably the most laughing I've done. It's the most genuine fun. I mean, as soon as I walked past that gate, someone started busting my balls, and I started busting their balls, and we're all laughing. And that's exactly what I want, because there's no pressure. You always find me a dance partner every year too. Although this June 1st, I'm going to be at the Connecticut States. But
which is a
who
completely
knows? Like I
understandable.
said, there's a chance I may drop up in the afternoon. Since I can't pull there, I'm not supposed to pull there. But we'll see what happens. My left feels good, man. My left feels good.
Well, I gotta say, so it starts at 4:30, but the actual matches don't start until about 5:30. So, just saying, we're gonna be going pretty late. Yeah, you know the drill, man. We always go until the wee hours of the night. There's nobody turning into pumpkins, and Cinderella's not gonna lose her slipper at this show. But I wanted to thank my sponsors for making this barbecue this year happen. Rappel Restoration Incorporated. I have his link down below. This is a basement restoration and driveway company. A local guy in Deer Park. Check him out. His work is beautiful. He does a great job. And then Tri-State Arm Wrestling. Steve Fernandez and Ivan Marrero, I gotta say, have been huge members of the local community. The local arm wrestling community. They've been contributing left and right, helping people out. They're all about building up the sport of arm wrestling in a local sense. So I'm very grateful for them for being sponsors. Now, this year, I went a little bit crazy with getting raffle contributors. Rosie's actually one of them. She's offering one of her services. I have it linked down below as well. Again, her website. But the raffle contributors start at anywhere between $50 up to $1,200 in value.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So we're going to be getting a lot of value, a lot of bang for your buck. And I'm going to be posting a link on my Facebook page and Instagram, as well as the event page, again, as to how much the raffle tickets are and how you can actually pre-purchase raffle tickets. Because spoken to a couple people, and they suggested I should open it up on a virtual way to allow people who may not be able to make it physically to the barbecue, but do want to come to Long Island at some point and receive some of these services. And some of the services are virtual, or we can mail some of the winnings over to you. So if you're not local, don't be shy. Feel free to contribute. I have all the raffle contributors. I'm not going to bore everybody with that list again. I have it listed down below. But I will say the raffle benefits that I wanted to highlight. I got 3 benefits this year. This is what's different about this year. I met Danny DeMichael actually at my barbecue.
Great dude.
And the energy that I met with that young man was profound. And he left quite the impression on me. So when I found out that Nick Stone was having an event the same day and doing a benefit for Danny, I couldn't help myself. I said I need to make a contribution to this, and not only am I going to be making my own financial contribution, but a portion of the raffle proceeds is going to be going to that benefit to help out.
Whoa, get out of here, dude. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy to be able
That's
to
awesome.
extend that. That's going to be going to that. I'm excited for that.
That's very cool. I appreciate that.
This is what collaborate and pull together means to me. Working with other arm wrestling entities for the greater good. Even though I'm having an event on the same day does not mean I'm in any competition with this man. You know what I mean? I'm here to further along the arm wrestling party. We're only like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from what Nick Stone's event. So once you're done arm wrestling there, and they close up shop, come take a trip down Long Island and keep the arm wrestling party going.
You know what's cool about that is Danny was the most humble and fun-loving human on our team. I mean, all he wanted was everybody else to do good. What he didn't realize, or maybe he did, but he's being humble, was how strong he got the last 6 months. I mean, he's probably another maybe 6 months away from pulling pro and winning pro. He really was able to start transferring his weight in. And the last 40 minutes he was alive, he sent me a video training him in his basement with his daughter holding onto a pulley, and he was pulling her up and down a sled with his back pressure. And it was cutest video. His daughter is the cutest kid ever. She's laughing on the video. And like 40 minutes later, that was it. So I saved that video on my phone, and he loved doing all different training with his daughter. He put her on a band and just curl her up on the floor, and she loved it. So it was more than just dripping up. Like he was a power lifter, and then we said, hey, come over to this sport, see if you like it. And then he just quit powerlifting. I mean, it was just all, and that's what happened to Nick Stone.
Yeah.
He's the 2019 Arnold Classic XPC powerlifting world champion. And I said, hey, come to Connecticut Ironman to see if you like it or not. And then that was it. And the dude he's like on top of the world, definitely the number 1 or 2 left in North America. No doubt in my mind. I will put my whole 401k on that. He's top 2 or 3 in North America. His left, I put the most violent hip press on Nick. And one time, 8 months ago, his nose twitched. And that was it. I don't ever have to arm wrestle ever again. I mean, it could have been a fly that landed on his nose. I don't give a shit. I made a little twitch, and that was it. And my left is not weak. I have a pretty decent left press.
I can attest to that. His left is strong.
But Nick is just, his right is coming along too. His right is fucking badass, but his left scares the shit out of me, dude.
It's a violent arm. Definitely is.
If he could stop Camille's press, if he could stop it, I would. Oh my God, that'd be the best match ever. Because I hold Camille up there, dude. He's just. You saw what he did with Devin. And Devin's left is no joke, dude. But Camille is just the way he transferred his body weight into his shoulder is devastating, absolutely terrifying. When I saw him in France, and but yeah, that's why I'm psyched for the Knuckles Up to see him again.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm psyched for your barbecue because I'm going to try to make it after.
I got two more benefits. I want to highlight with you on.
Do it.
The other 2 benefits is Dynamite Youth Center. It is a non-for-profit substance abuse disorder program dedicated to adolescents. And it's actually a place that I hold near and dear because it's where my journey of recovery started. Back in 2006, I had gone through this program, and they essentially gave me a better fighting chance in life than I ever could imagine having. And I think it's because of them that I was able to find you guys. So a portion of the proceeds is going to go to that. And then I know you. Oh, go ahead.
Amazing. Hey, you know what? I just want to show the camera something. I'm going to hop over the couch. I got something for you.
Okay.
Very special. Let's see what we got here. I beat my ass for this. Let's see here.
Oh, snap. There it is.
Yeah.
Right
there
right
it is.
there.
The summer kickoff challenge match. This was June of 22. when I had my super match with Jake, right in the left
With
hand.
Jacob,
That was that dude. I tell you what, on the first match with him, he stopped me and he looked around and he said, "This kid can't arm wrestle," and he smoked me in that first one. Finally, I was able to wake up, but I couldn't believe how good his hook was on that first match. I said, "Oh, this is gonna be a long day."
Definitely strong dude.
Yeah, he's no joke, dude. If he gets to stop, it's just not fun. Not fun.
And then the last benefit I wanted to highlight is I know you know who the Walkers are. Steve Walker, Madison Walker, Tracy Walker.
Oh, I love them all, the whole family.
So they have partnered. They've created an entity called Athletes Are Human, and they partnered with Naomi Mercer. So a portion of the proceeds are going to go to their efforts and endeavors in trying to maintain mental health care for high school students and student athletes. So I am very grateful that I have this opportunity to do so. Stay tuned tomorrow's to my Facebook and Instagram, Dan the Nightmare, and my Facebook. Obviously, whoever's watching is linked to it, but it's Daniel Schwartz. So please hit me a friend request, send me a message. If you have any questions, need any help with guidance and recovery, you can reach out to Chris. You can reach out to me. My channel is always open. Bring it. As Chris says, bring it. The sheets are ripped off. We're here to help. We're here to help guide you in any way or form. I gotta say, I'm grateful that I had Craig Soublier last week to talk about recovery. Chris today. Later on, I have two other amazing guests. Some of them are local. Someone I actually have never met as of yet. So I look forward to sharing the screen with this living legend as well. I ain't going to spoil too much about that, though. I'll leave that as a surprise. But Chris, thank you so much. Really. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being here, for being a beacon of hope for me, for this guy that struggled so hard with a lot of different things. And it's because of you that I've been able to put down the bat and pick up the feather and really recognize that I can live a gentler life because I'm worthy of it.
Hey, I always think about that newcomer coming in to get the 30-day coin, going up to the old timer, saying, "Man, I would do anything for your 30 years." And the old timer slaps him on the hand and says, "Straight up right now, I'll trade my 30 years for your 30 days. And the reason he said that is because the newcomer doesn't know the beautiful journey they're about to go on. And that's what we're here for, man.
It's all about the journey.
Just keep giving back and show someone else the way. It's not like I have any idea what the hell is going on. I'm just a doofus that hopped on the right bus. You know what I mean? So by coming on here, I thank you for having me on here. And I get to wake up at 4:45 in the morning to go build helicopters tomorrow, which is the coolest fucking job ever. And
4:30 wakes up. It comes by fast. So I don't want to keep you any longer than I have to. I appreciate your time, your energy, and the message you got to share. Let's give it a good old flex for the camera.
My man, thanks for having me. I love you, brother.